Hello, everybody. My name is Levi Powell, and I want to welcome you to the first episode of Random Sports Fan Forum for the Racing Series. This week, I'm just going to go over all three of the major racing series. I'm going to go over NASCAR, Formula One, and Indycar. That's originally what this channel started out as. I've added the NFL since then, some baseball, and a couple of other things, but this is really like the thing I like to talk about the most. So I'm going to start with NASCAR this year. First, I want to start with Ryan Blaney. Congratulations to him on winning the championship. With that being said, I think the playoff system needs a reboot or needs to go. Ryan Blaney is statistically the worst champion NASCAR has had in a very long time, and I think that speaks volumes. I mean, William Byron won 6 races. He'd have won in every other point system except for this one. I think he really deserved the championship this season. And no, that's not just because I'm a fan of Hendrick. It's because he actually deserves it. With that being said, there have been a lot of changes throughout NASCAR this offseason. One of them being that Stewart-Haas Racing has fallen off. They're losing sponsorship money. They're falling well behind their Ford counterparts. I mean, Penske won the championship. RFK Racing won multiple races. Rick Ware has now signed a deal with RFK to be basically a third team for them. And they got Justin Haley, who is a pretty good up and coming driver. Stewart-Haas has sponsorship trouble, and the drivers they signed, I really don't think they're a good fit. I mean, Josh Berry probably is a good fit, but he's not going to move the needle. I'm speaking mainly of Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson is not as talented as what everybody thinks he is. I know he's a fan favorite, and I know a lot of people like him, but I personally do not think he's going to make much noise in the 10 car. And in fact, I think it's going to end in disaster. I don't think his attitude is really going to play well with Stewart-Haas Racing. With that being said, another team on the decline is Colleague Racing. They had probably the most brutal offseason of any team in NASCAR. They lost A.J. Allmendinger going back to Xfinity. They lost Justin Haley, their up-and-coming, promising young driver, and they've been replaced with Daniel Hemrick, who has one career win out of all three series. It was a championship win, which, again, that's why we should change the championship. A guy's first career win should not result in a championship. He's definitely not moving the needle, and it was a panic hire. And the rumor is now is that the other car is going to be filled by Ty Dillon, which basically just means they didn't have anybody else. I mean, Ty Dillon has 1 foot out of NASCAR already, and it's just, he's going to get this ride. It'll be his fifth team in 5 years, and he doesn't really do very well with his equipment. He was with Spire Motorsports this year, and Corey LaJoie drove circles around him all season. Colleague is about to take a huge step backward, which isn't good because almost every other team I could think of is taking steps forward in this next run to IndyCar. Alex Palou dominated the IndyCar season. For anybody who watched it, it is an incredibly fun series. It isn't as popular as it should be, but going to the races are awesome. Watching it on TV is awesome. It's very racy and it's very interesting. But Alex Palou, I can't say enough about him this season. His lowest finish was 8th. I think he finished 8th 2 or 3 times, but he ran up front all season, winning 5 or 6 races. He had an average finish between 3 and 4 for the season. It was just pure dominance. He's going to be a factor for a long time to come unless he moves to Formula One. Speaking of Formula One, it's now or never for Colton Herta at Andretti. Andretti's moved to 3 teams to try to focus on getting one of its American drivers, either Colton Herta or Kyle Kirkwood, into Formula One when they start their team in 2026. It is now or never for Colton Herta. He makes way too many mistakes, and I do not see him as an F1 driver. He overdrives the car way too much. I think Kyle Kirkwood is actually a better option. There's no more excuses now for Andretti. If they want to get one of their drivers in, they've got to get it done starting this season because that super license isn't easy to get. You've got Alexander Rossi, you've got Alex Palou, you've got Scott Dixon, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden. You've got a lot of great drivers that are in the way of one of the Andretti guys getting to F1. They have got to make it. They've got to start it this season. With that being said, some of the older drivers like Scott Dixon, Will Power are, they're close to retirement. speaking of them, I mean, Ganassi and Penske need to find replacement drivers for both of them. They're not getting any younger. They're in their late 30s. They're both multiple time champions, multiple, 40, 50 plus race wins. They are the cream of the crop and they're IndyCar legends. It's going to be hard to replace them, but this discussion is about Andretti. Andretti has to be able to pass them somehow, and I really don't see it this season. Penske, Ganassi, and now Arrow McLaren look to be the class of the field for IndyCar coming into the 2024 season. Lastly, we're going to talk about Formula One. There will be no new drivers on the F1 grid in 2024. It's looking like it's going to be another dominant Red Bull season. And in fact, 2023, Max Verstappen won 19 of the 22 races. His teammate Sergio Perez won 2 others, and Ferrari, with Carlos Sainz in Singapore, was the only other team to win a race. With that being said, though, this season was actually way more competitive than what it looks like. You'd have had 8 different winners if Max Verstappen was not on the grid. I mean, McLaren came out of nowhere. Aston Martin came out of nowhere to have incredibly good seasons. Mercedes and Ferrari fought all the way to the end for second in the Constructors' Championship. You've got a lot of teams that are right there on the cusp. Now you've got some bad teams too. Like I'm a Haas fan. Haas has got to get the tire wear fixed in their car, or they're never going to go anywhere. Nico Hülkenberg was a qualifying legend this year for Haas, but they couldn't make anything happen in the race because they ate up tires so fast that they couldn't do anything about it. But that being said, it looks like another Max Verstappen year, but I think this year is going to be more exciting than the last.